going to watch it. Ray Render is the field director for Congressman John Rose, the 6th District. Congressman Rose is darn near local. Temperance Hill, I believe, over by Center Hill, south of I-40, a little community over there. Congressman Rose won the district primary in, actually, that'd be almost 2 years ago, because it was August 2nd, 2018, and then won the general election in November of 2018, started in January of 2019. So he's probably been in about a year and a half representing us in the United States Congress, and what a year and a half it has been. But Ray may have a little bit more as far as some of the important subcommittees and stuff that he serves on. But Ray lives right here in Mount Juliet, and as part of our Wilson Wednesday, Ray is going to give us maybe a little bit information on Wilson County as it relates to the 6th District and what might be going on that will impact businesses from a national perspective. And with that, good morning, Ray.
Well, good morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So now that my friend Julie Ruhlswall is on, I can officially start. So
there we go. You got it.
Julie's son and my son go to, well, they're attempting to go to college together at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. All that's, I think it's going to be online this fall. But anyway, as Mark said, Ray Render, I live over by the, now I have to say, you know, used to say I live over by the high school. Well, now you have to clarify which one. So I'm over by Mount Juliet High School. I live in Tuscan Gardens. So we've been in Mount Juliet now for about 17-ish years. So love to call Mount Juliet home. And thanks, Mark, Marla, everybody at the Chamber for allowing me to do stuff like this and be a part of it. So just going to go over a couple of quick things. I don't want to be lengthy, but I do want to, you know, if you got some questions along the way, certainly we'll do that or at the end. Want to remind everybody, obviously being in the political arena, want to remind everybody to early vote if you'd like to do that. So I know that's a county issue, but at Wilson County, just right down at Charlie Daniels Park, you can go early vote. I did it last Saturday morning, got there about 8:15. It took 5 minutes, in and out in a hurry. So we have a couple of spots. We've got the Lighthouse Church over off Saundersville, and we've got the Charlie Daniels Park there. So either one of those you can early vote at. I encourage you to do that. It was quick and easy. Just don't forget to vote. I don't care who you vote for. Just go go vote. But also like to update everybody on the census. That's kind of a U.S. Census federal issue. So 2020 is a census year. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but as you can help us remind everybody to take the census. I mean, I know Mark has said in the past that there are dollars associated with those census numbers. So, I mean, I hear anywhere from it could be $1,200 to $1,500 per person for everyone that, you know, says they live in our area. So, so much is driven off those numbers. I want to encourage you to, you go online and do it just very quickly. So let you know where we're at. At the national level, 62.3% of households identified have filled out their census. State of Tennessee, we're right there at that, 61.7%, state of Tennessee. Wilson County, doing a little better than that. We're actually 70.0%. We're the third highest county in the state of Tennessee. So Wilson County as a whole doing very well. Within that, Mount Juliet at 69.2%. So we definitely don't need to let our foot off the accelerator there, but we're doing fairly well in Wilson County and Mount Juliet. So anyway, 2020 census.gov. Fill that out. If you know anybody's looking for some part-time work, the census is hiring. They're actually paying $16.50 an hour to do some part-time work. So this will be the time of the year that, yes, it's the phone calls, it's the door knocking. So that type of activity is starting, and that's what they need bodies to do. So of course, all the COVID policies will be in place from the CDC when doing that. But if you want to go over to Davidson County, they're paying $23.50 an hour. So we'll just throw that out there too. But anyway, keep the census in mind, folks. That is important. But along with that, I know I always preach every time about the scammers being out there, and it's so true. Help, not us. I know I'm going to say business savvy, everyone on this call. But, you know, some of our elder, our seniors, maybe even kids, in my case, my son got duped into that. So just help communicate with all of that. Try to remind people that, hey, if it doesn't sound right, never give out your credit card information, banking information. You know, the federal government is not going to ask for that. Really, probably none of your state, county government's going to ask for that either. But if you didn't initiate the phone call to somebody and they're just calling out of the blue. So Go to the FTC. We've got the Federal Trade Commission website. It's got a lot of good information on that. I know I throw that out there every time. Hey, your tax dollars pay for all these websites. I encourage you to utilize them. A lot of free information there, a lot of downloadable information, a lot of brochures you can request, maybe for your church, maybe for your senior center, different folks if you want to keep them at your place of business. That's great. A lot of good information out there that's free. I say free, your tax dollars are paying for that. So please utilize that. Let the FTC know too, if there's, if you can get information on a scammer or something. I realize there's a lot of them out there, but they do try to hunt those folks down and prosecute them. So that's really the only way to make that stop. But anyway, that's Federal Trade Commission website. Feel free to check that out and just avoid scammers and help our seniors. So want to run into the PPP loan program. I know I'll talk about that. So kind of back to some CARES Act stuff. The PPP loan program, that is still active. Congress did extend that, and the president signed that through August the 8th. So we've got a few more weeks on that. Only about 518 billion of the 700 billion has been used in that program. So there's still money out there. Average loan size about 104,000. Tennessee businesses have received $8.9 billion of the PPP loan dollars so far. So a good amount. It's still there. I would encourage you to go to the SBA.gov website. There's the PPP loan program. You want to get with your financial institution, bank, credit union, whoever your financial partner is. That's who you want to talk to about the PPP loan program. But still active through August the 8th. There were some flexibility added to that program also with a follow-up bill that was passed a few weeks ago. So originally the forgiveness was going to be for an 8-week period of time. That's now extended to a 24-week period of time. So that might be of interest to you, that additional time that's been added. There was a 75-25 rule for 75% had to go for payroll, 25% for other bills that you would have at your business. That's been changed to 60-40. So that's a little nicer too. Now only 60% for payroll, 40% could be for rent or utilities, other things like that. So anyway, just encourage you to go to SBA.gov, check that out. Some of the, the folks that are getting it's healthcare, social, professional science, technical, construction, manufacturing, hotel, food service. So keep all that in mind. Yes, Mark, I know you twist my arm every time, and I appreciate you doing that, and the congressman's arm about some of the nonprofits can't participate in that. However, I realize the chamber, the way that's set up under the nonprofit system, were excluded. Hopefully, in another round, which I'll talk about in a minute, maybe we can get that thrown in there. So, top of mind, Mark. I am remembering that.
That's advocacy at its best. Consistent pressure.
Kim Baker, Kathleen, y'all all keep that top of mind for me, and I appreciate you doing that. So,
hey, let me just add something real quick, Ray.
Sure.
I was speaking with a local business owner yesterday, and we were just long-time business here in town. And I won't mention the name. That's probably some sort of violation. But I will tell you that the reason they're in business today and not closed up is a 100% direct result of the PPE. Now, I'm going to guess, just knowing the size of the business, that they were probably nowhere near the average of 107, but I wouldn't know. But I will tell you, it may not save them all, but it saved one of them, I can assure you that, right on Mount Juliet Road. So that part's, it's working for some, that's for sure.
Well, that's good to hear, and that's exactly what it was aimed at small businesses, regardless if it was 20,000 or 200,000, whatever they need. It keeps those businesses going, and as Mark alluded to, that was, I'm going to say, free money. A lot of that, the 8 weeks now up to 24 weeks of your payroll, your utility expenses, your rent expenses. That's forgiven. That does not have to be paid back. So I want to encourage everybody. There's still PPP loan money out there. If you hear of a business that's struggling, or Mark Marla, if someone calls in and says, "Hey, I'm struggling. What do I need to do?" Until August the 8th, as of right now, that money is still available. So I want to encourage you. Once again, SBA.gov's got a lot of great information. Reach out to your banks, credit unions, financial institutions. They'll help you navigate those waters. So the unemployment supplement that the federal government passed down through the CARES Act, that was an additional $600 per week. That finalizes in the state of Tennessee. They administer that through the unemployment insurance program. That finalizes at the end of this week, state of Tennessee. The CARES Act itself carried it to the end of July. However, the way Tennessee state does that, the end of this week, Saturday, will be the last of those $600 supplements. So once again, unless Congress does something this week, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but a few other things. There is an emergency disaster loan that was reactivated. So, you know, this is a broader loan. And once again, you can find out about this at SBA.gov as well. Nonprofits can participate in this. So it's up to $2 million in loans. There's a fixed rate of 3.75%. Nonprofits, that's 2.75%. You can extend that out to a 30-year payback on that. And first year is completely deferred. So, you know, it's not free money, but once again, you could borrow some money. You know, if you're in a situation you need some money for your small business, that's a great program because you can really spread that out over a long period of time. 1 year deferred, 3.75 is a pretty good interest rate. Some of y'all know I own some property where Culver sits. I own the dirt in the building, and I don't have mine at 3.75. It's more like 5.5. So anyway, I encourage you to look at that if you're interested. SBA.gov once again for some of that information. So quickly going down through here, all of the economic impact checks should be out by now. If for some reason you're hearing of somebody that doesn't have their economic impact payment, that would be the $1,200 per person, $2,400 per married couple. If for some reason you've not received that, you know, call us here in the office. We'll try to give you some assistance with that. You would have to fill out a privacy release. We can reach out to the IRS on your behalf, but those should be out by now. There were a few cases where if you had back child support, if you owed the federal government money, there were a few cases that they would keep that money. So maybe in your head, kind of go through that scenario, just ask yourself those questions. But if there's an issue on that, or once again, we probably get more calls from seniors, elderly folks. They can't navigate the website or those waters as easily. So please reach out to our seniors and maybe elderly folks that aren't quite as tech savvy as we are and try to help them where you can, or point them in our direction. And we're happy to help them with that. So I'll talk more about possible second round on that in just a minute. But another thing this summer, it is not a good summer to travel internationally. I know summer's winding down, school will be starting, but I'm going to say really for the rest of this year, the State Department does not want you to travel. So they're not making it overly easy. They were shut down. The passport offices were completely shut down for a long period of time. They are coming back up. They're probably half speed. So there was a backlog queue of about 1.7 million passports in waiting, trying to get issued. So they're starting to work on those. It is still a very long, lengthy process right now to get a passport. And there's a level 4 worldwide alert due to COVID from the State Department. So they really don't want you to travel. They're not going to go out of their way to help you. I just say be careful of that. Once again, I'm preaching to the choir here. You're very savvy of this, but help your friends and neighbors and those that might ask you. They know you're plugged in. They know you're the leadership of the community that's on this call today. So help them think smartly and just say, hey, it's not the best of times to be traveling out of the United States. Remind them that other countries. We had a case. Lady was trying to get to Spain. Well, she got to Spain, then guess what? She was quarantined for 14 days. So, she's calling back over here saying, hey, you got to get me out of this quarantine. Spain is a sovereign nation. They make their decisions for their country. The State Department is not the dictator of the world, nor is Congressman Rose or any other congressman. So we can't get you out of some of those situations. So just be mindful when you travel overseas right now. There's a lot of rules in place, and you're going to have to follow their rules. So just keep that in mind. Not a good year to travel international, but maybe it's time for one. Do like Mark does. Every weekend, him and his wife are going somewhere local around Tennessee, Kentucky, and they're having a good time. So anyway, maybe stay a little more local this year would be the smart move on that. So Real quick, just on some bills that we get a lot of calls on. I'm not going to dwell on these. I would encourage you to go to congress.gov. That's not politically related at all. It is the Library of Congress. That is their website. So if you want to see the actual nuts and bolts of what the House is doing, the Senate's doing, the bills, the text of the bills, the summary of the bills, go to congress.gov. That's a great website just to glance at and see what's going. They have the top 10 on there that people are searching for. And as you can imagine, those are the top ones that we get calls on. So, a handful of those, I'm not going to go into all of them, but not recently, it's been around for a while. We get a lot of, I'm going to say Tennessee is probably a pro Second Amendment state. Getting a lot of calls on, there's a House bill that it's called the Gun Violence Prevention and Community Safety Act. I just want to let everybody know that's buried in a subcommittee. I don't see it coming out, but what that is and what gets everybody kind of riled up about it, it is a lot of taxation, additional taxation on guns and ammunition. 30% on guns, 50% on ammunition. But that's been sitting in a subcommittee since March. So I'm not going to say it's never going to come out, but it's been kind of sitting there for a while. So I try to calm people down when they hear about a bill like that, whether it's on CNN or Fox or wherever they hear about it at, and they, oh my goodness, it's going to become law. So go to congress.gov. That's what that website is for. I encourage you, when you say, hey, is this rumor? Is this fact, fiction? Go to that website, check it out, see where it's sitting. Just like state of Tennessee, if it's sitting in a subcommittee, it's got to get out of the subcommittee to get to the regular committee to get to the floor. So that's kind of how things flow. So when you hear bills like that, I encourage you to check that out on your own. Of course, you're welcome to call us and give your opinion. We want to hear that. But please do all the investigative research at congress.gov, because that's the Library of Congress's site. It's not skewed one way or the other. It's just the facts of the bill. So the next one is the HEROES Act that got passed a few weeks back, and I'll lead into that, and then I'll lead into maybe what's coming over the next few days. So the HEROES Act, as you may have heard, was passed out of the House, $3 trillion, 1,815-page bill that was passed. Congressman Rose voted no. It came right down party lines. The Democrats voted yes, Republicans voted no, and I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or otherwise. I'm just letting know the facts of it. So it's sitting in the Senate. Senate hasn't done anything with it, probably won't do anything with that exact bill. There were just a handful of things in there that the congressman he had some angst with. So there was some additional, personal money in there, but that was going to everybody, not just U.S. citizens. It was going to everybody. He had a little issue with that. There were some things in there about reduction of population in the prisons. 50 years or older, you're out of prison. So, there were some things that he had issue with. However, I'm hoping, and as you're hearing in the news this week, that it sounds like the Senate's going to try to pick up some type of I'm going to say the next round of a stimulus bill. So leading into that is and if you're watching the news, you're probably seeing what I am. I'm getting a lot of off television. I do go to the web, various websites I try to read across the board. I try not to, Ray, you're only watching Fox. I try to look at CNN, CNBC, New York. I try to read it all and try to get a feel for what's going on. But McConnell is saying that the Senate might pick up some new stimulus this week to the tune of $1 trillion. It sounds like that some of the leadership is maybe on board with that. Probably $105 billion for education. Some more direct payments to individuals, talking about, and this is just rumor, this is in the talking stages, but I think this is going to play out over the next couple of days. Probably, as you know, in the last one, if you made up to $98,000 individually, $99,000 individually, $198,000 married, you would get some stimulus money. That talk is that may be a lower number, 40-ish thousand, 50,000, something like that. Once again, I don't know because it hasn't happened yet, but that's what McConnell, you're hearing him talk about that. You're hearing him talk about more targeted PPP loan money. So when I was talking about the PPP loan money that's there now, that's available for everybody. Going forward past August the 8th, you may see some targeted PPP money to the industries that were hardest hit. And I'm speculating, but it could be entertainment, could be travel, could be hotel, motel. Mark, I know y'all were chatting earlier that maybe we've had some okay times here around us with some folks due to the various things, but that industry in general may be hurting. So targeted PPP is the talk. How it's going to be targeted, I don't know, but that's some of the talk coming out of the McConnell camp. Of course, you've heard President Trump. He wants to have a payroll tax cut, I think, through the end of the year. So that is the 15.3%. Now, that is, you typically pay half that, what you would call it, your FICA, your Social Security, and your Medicare, Medicaid. You see that on your check, and that adds up to what, about 7.65% for you and I on this. Well, many of you may own your own businesses, so you're paying both halves of that. So a true tax holiday, if you own your own business, that could be 15.3%. Going straight to the bottom line of your paycheck if that's a part of it. So President's talking about that. McConnell's not talking about that. I don't know where that's going to go. Once again, stay tuned. Some liability protection. I think McConnell's big on that, to where lawsuits just can't, I can imagine the lawsuits that are going to come out of COVID. So trying to put some stipulation in there for that. So that's kind of the McConnell Senate camp, what's happening. Once again, the HEROES Act did pass. That's out there on Congress.gov. It's very lengthy, but that was a $3 trillion package. So are they going to meet in the middle? Maybe. I would say stay tuned to the news this week. The House is in session the rest of this week and next week. Then they're on their August shutdown. I don't know what else to call it other than that. So the Congress will be in the district. The Senate will wrap up by, I believe, August the 7th, I think is the date I saw. So what's going to happen is going to happen in the next few weeks. So feel free to call and let us know if you've got concerns one way or the other. I think the Senate will deal with this first. So possibly Blackburn and Alexander's office. I'm not trying to dodge us. Certainly we want to talk to you, but they're going to probably pick that up, and then it will come back to the House. So that's kind of what's going on. Once again, Congress.gov is a great site. If you want to live stream the House or the Senate, I know you must be looking for something to do if you want to do that, but that is there, and that is your Library of Congress site for everything that's going on. So with that, I just want to remind everybody that we're here. Once again, I live there in Mount Juliet. I said that. Kim Mash is our caseworker. I'm here at the Gallatin office. We're in the Sumner County Admin Building. We're on the top floor in room 308. We kept Diane Black's offices when she moved out. We kept her location here in Gallatin. We kept the location in Cookeville as well. So Kim is our caseworker. If you were to call here, she would probably be the one answering the phone. I'm out and about some, not as much as I used to be because there just aren't things going on. But if we can help you wherever you intersect the federal government, it may be a Social Security issue, it may be a veterans issue, it may be a passport issue. Once again, keep in mind, it's not a good year to travel, but we can help you with passport type stuff. IRS questions. Once again, if you've not received your economic impact payment, we probably need to inquire what's going on with that. But if you have IRS questions in general, we can help you with that. Some of the, I'll say, more fun things that we try to help out with. Tours of DC. Now, a lot of things in DC are still shut down, so maybe not the best time to go there. Some things are open, some things are shut down. So we just have to check and see. But a lot of times when things get back to normal, I heard whoever was chatting about that earlier, if and when we get back to normal, love to have you come to DC. Like to give you the back behind the scenes tour of the United States Capitol. Love doing things like that. We can get tickets to a lot of the things in DC ahead of time for you. So please utilize us for that. We'd love to do that. So keep that in mind if you're planning a DC trip. Flags, proclamations from the congressman. Maybe somebody's retiring and you want a proclamation. You want a flag that's been flown over the U.S. Capitol. Once again, we don't hand those out like candy. I've said that before. So when Johnny loses his first tooth, we don't fly a flag over the Capitol for him. But I'm not trying not to be flippant on that. But there is a cost to that, and we're happy to do that for special events or occasions as we need to. So reach out to us for that. Medals for veterans. A lot of veterans through the years, and once again, back to seniors, maybe they've moved, or maybe they've, whatever the case is, they've lost their medals through the years, and they reach out to us, or sometimes it's even they've passed and it's their children or their grandchildren that are reaching out, trying to get, what medals they had, or just trying to find out information about what their grandparent or parent did during a war, whatever. So, those are feel-good things. We love trying to help out with things like that. So we're happy to do that. Anything that we're here to help you with that as much as we can. So I throw that out there. So I've yapped a lot. I'm going to take questions or try to be quiet for a minute to see if anybody, I will also Mark, I will put my phone number and email in the chat real quick while I'm awaiting maybe some questions that come in.
Very good, thank you. I will add that if you are in Gallatin, but you have the opportunity to meet with a constituent and it's closer and less travel, please feel free to give us a buzz. We can set up a private, safe, socially distanced meeting place for you at the chamber office. So if that'll help you out in Mount Juliet. I do have.
We're doing it. Mark, let me brag on Mark a minute. I know I shouldn't do that, but Mark has been above and beyond. Anytime the congressman needs a place to meet in Mount Juliet, Mark has opened the chamber doors. So Mark, y'all do have, you got some great meeting spaces there, large and small. So thank you for saying that, and just I appreciate that. It's great to know we've got a kind of an alternative place that's down a little closer to I-40. So thank you, Mark. Marla, I know you keep them straight. So anyway, appreciate y'all's help on that.
I open up the room, but Marla has to give final approval. But no, our members paid for this, and that's their show of appreciation as well, and happy to do it. I do have a question. When we're walking around, whether you have a mask on or you don't have a mask on, and somebody who feels differently at that time looks at you and tells you to go to you know where, is that considered international travel?
Well, it could be. I'm not sure if you need a passport to get there or not.
there certainly are no winners there, but you were talking about the early voting. I'm not 100% sure, but I think in addition to Lighthouse and Charlie Daniels, if you're on the south side of town, I believe Gladeville Middle School or Gladeville Elementary is also a voting place, but I'm not positive about that.
Gladeville Community Center, yes, that's correct. So we've got the Election Commission, our community center, Watertown Community Center, Gladeville Community Center, and Lighthouse Church. So if you go to, and I've kind of got it pulled up here, I'm cheating, Mark. So just go to wilsonelections.com, wilsonelections.com, that information's on there.
I did have another, I made a note to ask one. I see where Tennessee, I believe there are 6 congressional districts that are doing at least one, if not more, clinical trials on a COVID vaccine. How were those? I think there's 4 or 5 Republican seats and 2 Democratic seats. How were those chosen? I know that there's none in our district, but that may be there may be a perfectly logical answer about, you know, whether those are universities of where they do scientific stuff, or do you know how that was selected?
Yeah, Mark, I don't. I'll have to inquire about that. That's a good question. I certainly don't. So I apologize. I'll need to dig into that a little bit.
It was on the U.S. Chamber's website. You can pull up any. I just got that email yesterday, and
yeah.
I have no idea. There could be some that don't do clinical research and stuff, but Tennessee is certainly well represented, that's for sure. So,
okay. Well, thanks for saying that. And let me. I see Michael Lynn on here. Let me just say we've got a great representative in our state house. That's Susan Lynn, and I know in times past I have encouraged y'all to sign up for her email blast. I get a lot now. The house, the state house, is not in session, so obviously her email blast have tapered off. But during session, Susan does a phenomenal job of pushing out information daily, multiple times a day. I get a lot of my information from Susan Lynn. So I just want to say, I see Michael here. I know Michael says he's the better half, I think, or he's the trophy husband. I forget what he puts on Facebook. But anyway, I appreciate Representative Lynn and everything she does for Mount Juliet. We're lucky to have her. So I just want to throw that out there today, too.
I believe first female legislator in the State House to chair the Budget and Finance Committee, and if I'm not mistaken, just completed her chairing that committee for the second state budget, if I'm not mistaken. Michael probably knows. Am I right?
He's on mute, but that does sound right. He'll have to.
Yes, he was, and just a very difficult job. Nobody's ever happy, especially during this time of the world, and but she's worked hard to get there, and a well-deserving person to do it. Not that I'm biased or anything, but yes, it's a totally unenviable job at this point. And I think they're going back into session at this in the middle of August also to look at the
liability reform.
Yes, liability reform, just to take a look at it. And it looks like it'll start possibly around August 10th.
Okay, good to know. That's something that's important to all of us.
And Mark, she's always open to do one of these if you ever need her to do it.
Oh, she's already on the list.
Awesome.
She's going to be a regular guest, I think, on the first Wednesday of every month. Marla will know for sure. But before we wrap up real quick, Ray, you were talking about the next round of CARES, perhaps, and it sounds like they're miles apart. But you mentioned, some of the targeted, something that it would seem to be that would be universally needed and wanted. Infrastructure. I'm talking about like massive infrastructure, highways, roads, bridges, rail, air. Is there some sort of a consensus to direct dollars for infrastructure funding from the federal level?
Yeah, and that would be a standalone bill for all of the I call it the TDOT type stuff. But as you say, it could be rail, air, all of that. So yeah, that will be a standalone transportation type bill, not necessarily part of the CARES Act or stimulus. Okay. So the stimulus packages are really looked at how do we keep our businesses open, how do we keep people spending money, how do we keep the economy stimulated. But yes, I mean there are some spending bills that are coming down the pike. That's one of the big ones is the transportation infrastructure, of course, defense spending. So there will be some standalone type bills that need to get addressed probably here in the next few weeks as well, because some of that funding will run out or they've got to, like last year, they'll have to kick the can down the road a month at a time to keep the federal government open. So there's a lot of things that need to get done here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that is a part of it as well. I don't know the bill numbers on that. I would have to go to commerce.gov and hunt that down, but several standalone spending packages need to be addressed and hopefully passed over the next few weeks.
The sense of urgency is on a collision course with the election. So yes. What needs to happen and what does happen may be two very different things. But Marla, anybody questions?
No, I don't see anything.
Ray, I'll tell you, this is I should have grabbed my big legal pad for all of my notes that I took. Thanks for so much information. It was nice of you to give up some of your time to join us today. Marla will put this to recording out on social media. And again, I want to thank everybody. We're running a couple of minutes late, but y'all are awesome. And thank you so much for joining us. Ray is arguably the most accessible congressional representative that I ever remember having here. And like you, Ray, I'm looking forward to being able to get back in that meeting room, and by George, we'll just starting on the donuts again. It's yes, not meetings without donuts. It's just not the same. So,
right. Amen.
Maybe we'll go out to Courtney's place and have some of those hot cinnamon rolls one of these days in the breakfast bar. So anyway, I appreciate everybody joining in as usual. If you have any questions, Ray's got his email and his cell phone number real quick in the chat. You can jot that down if you don't already have it. I hope all of you have a great day today. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you later.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.